If you've been doing everything right, but something still feels off in your body, your mind, or your emotions, this message is for you. When all else seems to fail, there's usually something much more deeper than meets the eye. Because real healing isn't just physical, it's encoded in your cosmic blueprint. In today's live stream, we're exploring how spiritual medicine in the Ifa tradition reveals the true root of illness. But this isn't about rejecting modern medicine. It's about reclaiming the parts of your healing journey that Western systems often overlook: your energy, your destiny, and your alignment. If you've been feeling blocked, misdiagnosed, or unseen, you're in the right place. We're breaking down how to recognize when your condition is physical and when your healing needs to go deeper. If you're ready to understand what your body is really trying to tell you, this is your moment. We're going live in just a few seconds, so stay close and we'll get started. Greetings all, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Arisha Bumi X, thank you for showing up. Greetings to all of you all who are joining otherwise, because I see a few people on both platforms. We are on YouTube and IG right now, so if you want to switch platforms, because I know some of you all like to do that, feel free to do so. If you are watching this live, guys, please feel free to drop your questions, your reflections in the chat as we go along, as we always do. Also, if you're watching a replay, please type replay in the comments. Let me know what stood out to you most. We're going to get started shortly. Let me welcome a few people who are coming in on the YouTube side. So greetings, our Adissa. Thank you for showing up. Greetings to you too, Asaju. Welcome. Guys, I'm trying to see what's going on with my IG. People on IG, can you guys let me know if you can see me and hear me? Because it looks like it's stuck on your end. I hope they can see me and hear me, because it's not moving over there for some reason. Okay, you can. I don't know why I can't see myself on that screen. I can only see like the stuck part. You can see me and hear me. I know you can hear me because you said yes. But can you actually see me too on IG? So greetings, guys. Sorry about that. You can't hear and see me. Great. I am not seeing myself there, but either way, we'll just keep on moving and get to it. So I definitely want you, greetings and welcome everybody coming in. Thank you to guys for telling me that you can't see and hear me on IG. So let me know if there's any kind of disruptions that go on that side, because it looks like it's having some kind of technical difficulties there. So I want to jump into the survey results that you guys filled out on YouTube. So I asked you guys about, how do you feel about spiritual illnesses and things like that? So a little bit over half of you guys definitely believe that illnesses are spiritual, but you haven't experienced it yet. But the other half believe that they are spiritual and have experienced it. No one said that they didn't believe that illnesses have spiritual context or natures to them, which isn't surprising to me, given that, most people who watch and view my channel are into African spirituality, Ifa specifically. So that wasn't a surprise. It's definitely the case, and that's what we're going to get into today. Spiritual roots of sickness. So I want to start, as I always do, with the Akose, and this is our last one for dealing with the Akose. We're looking at health-related Akose in today's live stream. So, health is wealth. Ifa teaches that. That is in the Odu, that our health is our wealth. Therefore, we should take care of ourselves. We should maintain ourselves, and we need to do what we need to do in order for our health to be taken care of well. Sorry about this, guys. I normally keep it off, but it is vibrating today. Apologies, because I don't like being disrupted. So we definitely need to keep those dynamics in mind. Like, your health is not something that you should ignore at all. It is something so very, very vital to you, because without your health, you can't do anything else. You can't make money. You can't be in a relationship and enjoy it in the rightful way, right? Because you can easily be taken out or just not be able to do anything. So we definitely want to take care of our health, right? That being said, it's not guaranteed that everybody's going to experience perfect health. On the contrary, we're dealing with a lot of health conditions in today's world. Some are definitely due to the way we live, our own habits and lifestyles, and a lot of it, even the ones that are related to people's own lifestyles, being sedentary, not eating well, is still some relation to the environmental factors, because there's so much poisoning and things like that going on in our food. And we are suffering from chronic healthcare condition at an unprecedented rate in today's world. So we definitely need to take care of these dynamics. And, we're not guaranteed to have this perfect health and well-being. So many factors involved in that, spiritual being one. That's why we're talking about the health related to Akose today, but definitely some emotional factors and some physical factors out there. So as always, health Akose, this is the spiritual remedy. It's beyond the natural herbs or things like that. It's beyond the abode, the charms, etc. All of those devices are also spiritual in nature. However, when we're talking about health related to Akose that specifically is driven to deal with our health, our well-being, those conditions are going to be related to physical roots, okay? And we're going to use that to restore our vitality, to alleviate conditions. Health Akose can absolutely, completely alleviate problems, and of course to promote overall health and well-being. All of those things are very, very important in what we do and how we live in our day-to-day lives. All right, as always with any type of Akose, guys, you don't need a full-on idafa. You don't have to go through and get an Ifa reading. If you are working with someone, you can probably just ask them, like, hey, I want Akose for this. What do I need to take? And they can go and check and see, right? They may not charge you for it if they're already working with you. However, if you are like brand new to somebody, you probably do want to go ahead and get some kind of spiritual investigation, not necessarily a full checking. Adjust this camera, guys. Okay. Is that better for you guys? I just realized it was not situated properly. Alrighty, so health Akose, it supports our healing, our resilience, but it's not meant to replace us living a balanced lifestyle. And when I say balanced lifestyle, I'm not just talking about in regards to what we eat, drink, lifestyle as far as physical health. I'm also talking about living in Iwa Pele, because gentle character plays a huge role in us maintaining our health from a physical perspective and from a spiritual perspective, right? So if you go around and you're mistreating people and you're doing things to get people upset enough to do some ritual work against you, some magic or spell work, etc., against you, then yeah, you're putting yourself at greater risk, your health at greater risk, because people can do that. They do those types of things, and they absolutely cause health problems for individuals when they, decide that they want to perpetuate some type of spiritual attack. Okay. But you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to just suffer through an illness or what have you. You can get help for it. Ifa, as I said before, is a holistic system. It is going to work to take care of whatever issues you have within your life. So you definitely want to utilize the tools that are available within the tradition to help you out. Okay. There are some different signs and symptoms that you should definitely look out for when it comes to spiritual illnesses. When I talk about these things, I do want to put forth a disclaimer, guys. Understand that any of the symptoms, the signs that I mentioned here, don't always indicate that there's a spiritual root to your problem. Sometimes it is physical. So you may want to balance this out with both getting a healthcare checking and also to check with a diviner, depending on the nature of your situation. Okay. Very, very common is when people have recurring physical symptoms with no clear medical diagnosis, no clear medical cause. This happens quite often when people are going to the doctor and they're having these different experiences within their bodies, especially when it comes to things like symptoms, because symptoms are things that only you experience, right? The signs are things that can be visualized or either noted by other people, even through diagnostic testing and things like that. So high blood pressure, you can do some testing to see what's going on with somebody with those types of conditions. But with symptoms like I have a headache, right? Nobody can validate that but you. But if you continuously have like a persistent headache, migraines, even so, and you continuously go to the doctor, they can't find anything that's going on with you within that dynamic. It may be something spiritual that you need to look further into. Even so, if it's something physical, but the doctor can't seem to figure out what's going on with it, then it may be spiritual roots that you need to go ahead and take care of. When you're experiencing things like sudden persistent fatigue, like tiredness, all of a sudden for no reason, you got plenty of rest, dizziness, weakness, those are really telltale signs of spiritual conditions, especially the tiredness, the fatigue, and you're getting enough vitamins, you're getting exercise. There's nothing else that would say you need to be um you should be tired rather at this particular moment. You just feel tired all the time and you feel like you always want to rest. You definitely need to check those dynamics out. Frequent nightmares, sleep disturbances, waking up feeling drained, anything related to your sleep, please check on that because it probably does have some spiritual roots. A lot of spiritual attacks happen in the dream state when we're, kind of caught up in the astral realm and things like that. So look into those. People who are experiencing a lot of different emotional upheavals. You're emotionally unstable. You can't control your anger. You can't control your fear, right? You can't control just being sad and just depressed all of the time. Depression is a really, really strong sign of having some kind of spiritual root to the problem. Greetings, greetings, greetings to everybody who is coming in and joining us. Appreciate you all. So you definitely want to take care of these types of things because a lot of times these types of dynamics have been relegated in today's world to just mental health conditions, and definitely they have mental roots. And some of it is just caused by you. Maybe you're ruminating on something and you just don't let it go, and so you just continuously get yourself angry. Some people have a natural disposition towards anger, fear, sadness, just depending on their, makeup, right? How they came into the world. And so it's not always spiritual in the sense that somebody attacked you or what have you, but it could be. And it could also be more than just some hormonal imbalances and things like that when we're talking about these particular dynamics related to our emotional health, particularly. Okay. Loss of motivation, confusion, forgetfulness, just general apathy about life. You just don't feel like doing anything. And you trying to figure that out. And it doesn't have a physical root because it definitely can't have physical roots there, especially things like this happens a lot when women are going through perimenopause, menopause, things like that. So there are still things that you can take and use from an Akose and a natural perspective when it comes to these dynamics. However, those are just, part of the natural cycle of life. I'm gonna say in part because there are also some physical things that have caused women to suffer more when they're going through that natural phase of life. So it shouldn't really be like what we're experiencing in today's world. Just feeling an unusual heaviness or, just being pressed down. You can't figure it out. Those are some signs as well. Whenever you're getting any type of random symptoms, so it could be aches, it could be pain, it could be confusion, instability, dizziness, etc. Tiredness, fatigue, or what have you, whenever you go and try to engage in spiritual activity. So maybe you're going to your Orisha pot, so you're just going to pray if you're not that far into Ifa, or you may not be into Ifa at all. You're going into whatever spiritual mode, yoga, even meditation, etc. And every time you try to go into these things, you feel something that is physically disabling you from functioning in that capacity, right? So you like go to sit down and meditate and just start feeling pains all over your body. And it only happens during that particular time. You go to your Orisha pot and all of a sudden you start feeling tired, confused, fatigued, etc. Those are absolutely signs of some spiritual interference that should be taken care of. Ongoing cycles of sickness, they just keep coming back, no real reason for it. So you're taking care of your health overall, you're living a holistically healthy lifestyle, and you keep getting medical and or spiritual intervention and just keep coming back, right? So you need to take care of that. You need to check that out to see if you need something deeper, a spiritual remedy for it. Dealing with extreme fear or anxiety that's not being relieved by natural medications. Also, sensitivity to certain people, places, objects, environments, etc., without a logical explanation. These can all indicate that you are dealing with some type of spiritual interference, spiritual illness. All right. So, how do these things manifest in our lives? How do we get to this space? Of course, the curses, the spell work, the harmful energy that's projected towards you from other people. People can do this. Sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes, if you do something to someone, they could get angry with you, and they're not necessarily projecting a curse or any type of evil energy on you themselves. They're just angry, and they have a certain divine ashe to where their anger can just spill over on you. They could be using some type of protection of Akose, right? And you make them angry, and they're not, again, trying to cause you harm specifically, but it happens because they're using some other type of spiritual remedy to protect themselves from other people. Obviously, this can happen intentionally. It happens all the time intentionally, where people want to see you, come down or what have you, and they do some negative work against you to cause you to get ill, and you can fall ill. I have seen several cases of people getting ill because somebody did some negative spell work against them. It does happens quite frequently. We've had to help out a number of people. It does work when they take their kosher or what have you. A lot of times these scenarios happen though because the people who were affected by it, they had did something wrong to that other person. So be very, very careful. This is again why gentle character is so very, very powerful and important in our day-to-day lives. Aside you're saying it's coming to feel the physical effects of a spiritual attack being felt in the gut, stomach. I've heard that. Absolutely in any parts of the body. But yeah, gut, stomach, it can affect you anywhere. It just depends on the type of work that was done, the type of attack. I mean, people literally have gotten like chronic disease states, cancers and things like that have been caused from people messing with, other people, and they're doing negative spell work and things like that against other people. So it is true, it can happen. You want to be careful again with everything that you do in life, right? And this is not to put anybody in fear when I say that. Again, if you're walking in Iwapele, you're trying your best to treat other people well and, live a good life, then you shouldn't have to worry about these types of dynamics because you're going to be protected when somebody, in most cases, you'll be protected when somebody just comes and perpetrates negative spell work against you for no reason. Now, their work could be very, very powerful and it can still penetrate you, especially if you are not spiritually protected. So this is another reason why you want to keep yourself protected in so many different ways. walking in gentle character, but likewise, the other things that we do in the tradition by protecting yourself. So you are asking, while in general, are there instances of crochet not working? There can be instances of it not working, and there can be for a number of reasons. For one, if it's not put together properly, it could not work, obviously. So it's not just you go anywhere and you just get a crochet and it is absolutely going to work if the person doesn't know what they're doing. There are cases where people absolutely know what they're doing. They put it together, work to put it together well. However, when you're in a space, again, when you're not walking in gentle character, even their crochet could work, but then you go back and you do something again to that person, if they caused some type of spell work against you, or you did something else in your own life that causes that, disease state or what have you to return back to you, or whatever the crochet is that you're using it for, right? Whether it be health or something else. So those dynamics can happen as well. There could be some crochet that just it doesn't work for you, your particular condition. So you may have to take a different type of a crochet in order for it to work. So this is why a lot of checking is done beforehand. You don't just go and get anything. You don't go online and see spiritual medicine and say, I'm going to buy that. You should talk to somebody who knows what they're doing so that they can go and do checkings to see, is this absolutely, I won't say is it going to absolutely work, but what are the percentages of this particular one working in my situation, etc. Some other ways they can set in is you ignoring or deliberately violating your taboos. Your taboos are in place for a reason. This could be temporary or permanent taboos. So for those who are not initiated, you still have temporary taboos that apply to your life, whether you know it or not, right? And that's the tricky part. So if you're getting regular readings, like let's say monthly, that's typical in the tradition, then you will know, okay, this taboo is applying to me at this time. But the taboo can still be there even if you didn't get a reading and you don't know that the taboo is there, and you could mistakenly violate that taboo and it could cause you some problems. So, there you have it again. There's so many dynamics that are interwoven into you, like treating Ifa as a way of life versus something like I just come to it, I get some ritual work done because I'm having this problem, and then I just go away. Those things can happen, and I'm not saying that it's wrong for you to interact with the tradition in that way. However, you also want to consider, like, you want to live in gentle character. You want to try to observe any type of spiritual guidelines that have been put in place so that you can live your best life. And it's not to scare you. There's plenty of people who don't practice Ifa and they still are able to enjoy a really good, healthy, happy life, etc. And they could be practicing a whole nother tradition. Well, I should say a non-indigenous way of being, Christianity, Islam, those types of things, and still be okay. But if you are practicing the tradition and you know these things, you should definitely implement them to the best of your ability. Okay. Another way is being exposed to contaminated environments. So if you're in a space where somebody is constantly doing negative or evil spell work, intentionally or unintentionally. So intentionally will be somebody like definitely going forth and saying, I'm going to put some kind of curse or what have you on a person. But also the words that we speak can curse, guys. So if you're in a space where somebody is constantly using curse that are cursing, right? Profanity and cursing are two different things, because you can curse somebody without using profanity, even if it's unintentional. You saying negative things about a person, definitely you can use profanity in order to curse people. But there are so many dynamics behind it. If you're in an environment where people are always gossiping, right? Just talking negatively about other people, those are environments where so much negativity, so much negative spell work is going on, because you are speaking those words against other people. and you are somebody else. And even if it's not you, but if you're in an environment where this is consistently going on, you are subject to that negative energy penetrating you likewise. With that being said, even so, you always talking negatively of yourself. Whenever you speak negatively of yourself, you are speaking against your aura. You are violating aura, right? That's a taboo for everybody not to talk negatively of yourself, because when you do, you are absolutely cursing your aura, your own self. When you speak positive of yourself, you are blessing your aura. All right. So you want to be careful with that, because this is a form of cursing yourself. When you speak negatively, when you have feelings of hopelessness, you just stay in that energy. I mean, anybody can get there from time to time, but when you're just sitting in that energy, internalizing so many different fears, hypochondriac people who are internalizing those fears about health and healing and well-being and things like that. You're constantly worried that you're going to get sick about something. Not saying that it's not a legitimate problem or condition, because it is, but it's something that you need to definitely try to take care of. Because if you're constantly sitting in fear of those dynamics, and especially if you have the type of aura that, manifests things quickly, you're going to manifest sickness quickly in your life, right? Because it works both ways. Like, some people have that divine ashe where they can speak things into existence, and it works both ways. You can speak to positive, you can speak to negative. Some people can just visualize things and it just happens. Same dynamic there. So you want to utilize your energy to the best possible way you can, in the best possible way you can. Whenever you're disconnected from your aura, right, or you fail to follow through on spiritual remedies, the Ebo, when you get an Ifa reading, this is why I always say be prepared for the Ebo, right? Be prepared for that reality that is going to come about. And so you don't want to go and just get a reading and not follow through with the work, because the whole point of you getting the reading was for that. That's what Ifa divination is for. And a lot of times people get lost in that because they want to use it as a regular reading, like a psychic reading or a tarot reading, and that's not what Ifa divination is for. Not when you go and you're dealing with the when you're going to generate an Odu or something like that, because an Odu will always pull out some elbows, some sacrifices that you got to do. Whereas if you just do like an investigation, it won't necessarily do it that way. So just be careful with those dynamics as well. Now, as always, we're going to go through the different tiers of healing with the charms, the lekis, the elbows, so forth, so on, and the Akose, and talk about how each of these particular dynamics work within the healing dynamic. So when we talk about the charms, the lekis, they help to protect our energy. They help to boost immunity, healing, shield us from different harmful forces that are out there, depending on the nature of it. And they can be very, very powerful, okay? Very, very powerful within this dynamic, within any dynamic that they're doing. If you're using it for protection and for love or anything else, that can be very powerful. Elbow, in and of itself, it can definitely block spiritual attacks from connecting to you or from overwhelming you, taking you over, etc. It can remove also the root causes of illness. There's some times where you can do elbow and the illness just goes away. I've seen this in different cases. One of the more prominent cases that I always recall is a person having schizophrenia, and they did elbows. Well, their family did the elbow work on their behalf because that person wasn't capable of doing so. And the person was completely healed of schizophrenia just through the elbow alone, right? And that was a beautiful situation. They probably would have benefited from taking Akose, but the individual didn't even know that the work was being done on their behalf, but they were healed. So it's not that it can't heal you, because it can. Elbow that is doing the sacrifices, but sometimes more is necessary. Okay. So when we're looking at the health related Akose specifically, we're talking about things that are deep rooted. All right. Things that are, chronically coming back or recurring. They have those really, really deep spiritual roots, even so generational sometimes. So you may need something deeper, more than the, like you said, charms, the ever, or even natural medicine, which I'm going to get into shortly, natural remedies rather. All right. Um, you should always seek divination if you believe the cause is spiritual, or you want to do your periodic check-ins to make sure that you're clear of any type of illnesses that are related to spiritual illnesses. While you're saying, wow, so they haven't had any relapses? Nope, not at all. Trust me, that was one of my first experiences early on, like when I first started doing this work, that I saw that happen. And it wowed me too. So I always remember it. And I've seen some really miraculous situations since then, but that one was just like, okay, this stuff really works, right? So, an example here, I'm gonna go through my quick examples like I always do, right? So you can think about prayer as like just your regular healthy eating, physical activity, maintaining your liberty, things like that that just keep you strong, keep you healthy, etc. Just like with you doing those things, you can maintain your immunity, your strength. You can never get sick, right? Depending on you, what you do in your day-to-day life, your makeup, etc. You may never get sick by just living a very healthy lifestyle. And sometimes prayer can be just that powerful and effective for some people that can get sick, or maybe not, to avoid sickness, I should say, through regular prayer and just connecting with their spiritual team. Charms and Eleki, this could be like you saying, I'm going to go and take some herbs and supplements, right, to fortify my health. These are not medicinal at this particular point, but you're really doing it for protection and preventative type of measures, all right? But, you definitely, the results are definitely going to depend on how consistent you are, your overall health, what you're doing to take care of your body. So you can kind of think about charms in that way. They are helpful in that regard, and they can sustain your health. Well, this will be like akin to maybe working with a holistic health practitioner for preventative or curative health. So here you're going to get a higher level of guidance beyond just you deciding. You go online maybe and look up some herbs that are good for this condition, or just to keep your immune system strong, etc. Maybe you say, I'm going to go and work with a naturopathic doctor so that this person can really, really guide me on a deeper level, and I can get some feedback from someone else to get more balance into the situation, right? So they're going to give you their personalized guidance on what you need to do in order to restore your health. The Akose will be like maybe going deeper into like some kind of surgery or some kind of reconstructive treatment that you need at a much, much higher level. So this is that deeper intervention where we got to go in and sever the root on a much, much more dedicated level than what we've seen in the other instances. All right. So we're really going to go in there and give some really fully functioning targeted action to that disease state. You can kind of think about it in that way. I'm not saying that they work in this way exactly. I'm just trying to give you this as an illustration of like when to take or when to utilize each of these devices. Now, as I said before, you also have the option to deal with natural remedies or the spiritual medicine, which is the Akosha. This is going to be determined by your condition, all right? So typically we're going to deal with the natural remedies, the roots, the herbs, the bark, all of those things. They're very, 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 very powerful in and of themselves, and they can absolutely treat serious, very serious conditions, cancers, AIDS, so many, hypertension, diabetes, what else? A number of disease states, right? Even so, the serious mental health conditions, there are definitely herbal remedies and things like that. In Africa in general, definitely in West Africa, Nigeria, where you can get out some really, really strong, really, really potent natural herbs, roots, remedies, and things like that, that can I don't want to use the word curative, but I can say relieve your condition, right? You have to be careful what you say on these platforms, but you can definitely take some things that are completely natural. Traditional herbalists, they are going to treat those high level illnesses, conditions, like I just mentioned, without the synthetic drugs. You can even, so guys, go and have your bones reset, like a broken bone, taken care of completely naturally with herbs, with, different measures that are done in traditional society that do not require all of the things that you see in the medical establishments in the Western world. The allopathic care that we see with all of these medicines, you don't always have to do those things. All right. Herbs, they're going to work the physical body, detoxing, boosting immunity, balancing hormones, all of those different things. Spiritual medicine, as I said before, the Akose, this is when you're dealing with spiritual or energetic roots of illness. So if there's an energetic root to it, you are going to want to take the Akose in order to clear it out completely. Um, wow. This example just keeps coming to my head as I'm talking about this. I remember this incident of a guy who went to Africa and he was doing some things that he shouldn't have been doing, messing around with some young girls and things like that. And he got really, really sick. And so he ended up having to come back to America and taking some spiritual medicine. And that's the only way that he was relieved from it. If he had stayed in Africa doing what he was doing, right, messing with these young girls, because he was older, like 60, 70, something like that. But if he had to stay in Africa and continue to do what he was doing, he was actually about to leave the earth, right? He was getting ready to transition. And it would have been probably a good situation for him because somebody had actually put something on him because of what he was doing over there. So he ended up coming back using the Akose and he was completely relieved. I think it was something like with his foot or his leg where it was just consistently like just draining, bleeding or what have you, and he just couldn't stop or something like that. But I don't know why it kept coming up in my head. But things like that do happen, okay? Akoshe is appropriate, like I said, for those curses, those spiritual attacks, any type of ancestral generational patterns, things of that nature, they can be healed. It kind of reminds me of like for the healthcare people, the MSRA, right? The methicillin, what is it? Methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, right? For people in the healthcare field, you know what I'm talking about, right? This is a strain of staph that's resistant to methicillin, which is a type of antibiotic. And so you have to use something else to treat that. And this is a very, very special case. So you can kind of think of a Akoshe like that if you understand that particular example. Akoshe can be used though in combination with herbal remedies to accelerate healing and things of that nature. So if it's a completely physical root to the condition that you're dealing with, you can still use Akoshe to help accelerate that process. You saying it's called MRSA. You're right. What did I say? Did I say M? I probably said M. I said the acronym back, but you're right. MRSA, methicillin resistant staphylococcus aureus. Yes, you're right. Well, I think I was saying MSRA. Either way, if you want to look it up, guys, there you go. You can look that up and kind of get an understanding of what I mean by that. Thank you for that too. All right, so let's see. You can use them in combination, like I said before. So the Akoshe, it definitely includes herbs and natural constituents, but it also includes more with the ritual elements. So you're going to say incantations and things like that. You're going to charge those materials. Sometimes you're going to go and get some materials that you can't easily find when it comes to Akoshe. There are certain types of herbs or plants that are absolutely spiritual in nature, and you can only get them at certain times of year in certain parts of the West African region or African region in as a whole. Since we're talking about E5, I'm talking about obviously Nigeria, West Africa, because there are specific herbs and things like that that you're going to find in that part of the world. But pretty much all of the continent has that dynamic. Greetings, 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 all who are coming in. Thank you, Cabela Natural 78. Alrighty. Both can be used together, as I said before, but they do serve different purposes based on the root of the condition. So you got to see which one you need in that particular case. Let's see. So now, does how does it work? How does the health of Akose work? So it's going to clear out those blockages. If that's what it is. If it's a curse or something like that, it's spiritual in nature. So you always have to clear out any type of spiritual remnants from the person in order for them to experience holistic healing in this case. Okay. It's going to restore their constitution, their energetic alignment, allowing their body to respond more effectively to whatever treatment that they're getting or any self-care that they're initiating. It's going to strengthen your immune system and your aura against those spiritual attacks in the future, repeated illnesses and things like that. It's going to dissolve any of those energetic cores, those curses, patterns that are contributing to your chronic or unexplained symptoms. Alrighty, additional considerations that we need to think about when we're talking about health-related Akose, okay? You can use health Akose with medicine in some instances. So I'm referring to allopathic medicine here. All right, the Western variety that they go and they cook up in the labs and things like that. But you want to consult with whoever you're working with. Let them know if you are taking something, especially if it is something that is that you can't easily just get off. Something that's really, really serious, something for a really serious condition, chronic illness, things like that. It's good to let them know in general, even if you're just like taking Tylenol, for instance. You definitely want to let them know if you're taking something that could interfere with this medicine, because Akose that is, because there could be some contraindications, and we want to check and be very, very careful with that, because we don't want extra problems, obviously. Some Akose works fast while others can take their time. So watch out for your shifts in your energy, your sleep, your emotions, your patterns, etc. Making sure that everything is okay as you are taking the Akose so that you don't have adverse symptoms. If they don't go away, no clear cause, even after you started the Akose, definitely consult with your owl. I recommend, regular check-ins even throughout the process, even when things are going good. Report those things to your owl so that they know, hey, things are well and, you're getting along and so forth in your condition. When it comes to pregnant women, breastfeeding women, you definitely want to be careful here. Right. Again, that's a conversation that you need to have with the person who's preparing the Akose for you if they don't already know your condition. If they do, I still would remind them, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm with child, I'm nursing my child right now, breastfeeding them, so that they can prepare a remedy that is appropriate for you. And they can definitely avoid ones that are not, because certain Akose cannot be taken when you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Same dynamic goes with taking Akose, giving young children or even elderly people different forms of Akose. You want to make sure that the doses are age appropriate, and even so that it is appropriate for them to take whatever you are giving them as a whole. You're saying happy new month in the week of June. A happy new month to you as well. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Some Akose is just one time. So, you take it, you leave it alone. You don't keep taking it, even if there are parts that are left over from the Akose remedy, because sometimes people get confused there. I got all of this left. I want to just finish it up. I want to give it to somebody else. Nah, you don't want to do that if you were told to just take it one time or maybe two or three times and discard the rest of it. All right. Sometimes you do need to repeat it. You need to finish it all up. It really just depends on the remedy that you get. So make sure that you get clear instructions and follow those instructions, because you do not want to mess up when it comes to certain remedies. Because some of them are really, really high stakes, as I've said before, and this isn't something to just play around with at all. So you might have to do some follow-up rituals, readings, and things like that. You may have to even take certain Akose remedies in two parts, and that's known from the beginning. So I know earlier, I think it was you, Wiley, that asked about like when it doesn't work. Is there situations where the Akose doesn't work? It could be that you are supposed to take it in two different parts, but you get one part first, and then you're going to get the second part later on once you finish that first part. It may not be like the person is going to ship it all to you or give it all to you one at a time. Just depends on the particular remedy that you're working with. So you want to be very, very mindful of things like that. So what should you do as you're taking it, after you finish taking it, things of that nature? You want to follow any of your guidelines, spiritual, lifestyle, etc. Because some Akosha can come with specific taboos that you want to avoid doing certain things while you're taking that particular Akosha, or you want to do certain things that you were instructed to do. So make sure you follow those guidelines. Stay consistent with healthy living. Right, this is not like a anything else in the tradition. You still got to live your regular life. It's not just magic. I take a crochet and I can eat whatever I want to eat. I can drink and get just drunk all the time or what have you. I can smoke and just participate in all of these behaviors that are really, really unhealthy for me, and think that I'm going to maintain my health, because that's not what a crochet or any type of health related remedy is for in the tradition or otherwise, right? Still gotta live a good life. I always recommend anytime you're doing any type of spiritual work, especially something like this, journal it, track it, right? See what kind of changes that you are going through during your process of taking the Akoshe, so that you know what's going on with your body, and you can really and truly say, like, this is working or it's not working, or it's causing this or it's causing that. You like write those things down or track them somehow, whether you record it or whatever works for you. So this is the last section, guys, that I do want to go over. If you have any more questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to drop them in the chat as we go along, and we will finish up shortly. So how do you sustain that health and well-being? You want to make that spiritual maintenance part of your routine. You don't want to just go and do it when just to respond to a crisis situation, and that refers to health, or crochet, or anything else. Because again, that's what some people do. I'm having a problem, so now I'm going to go and get a reading and try to remedy this. And a lot of times your problem is already started. You're in the midst of it, and it's much worse. So if you just continuously like maintain your spiritual hygiene, getting those readings and checkings and things like that done to just make sure you're okay, you can avoid a lot of problems, right? Stay away from toxicity, toxic people, processes. Don't go and do negative spell work, environments, places, things of that nature, right? To facilitate the healing process. Don't ignore it when you have these small symptoms, guys. Make sure that you take action as soon as possible when you are dealing with any type of serious health condition, okay? Healing is an ongoing process, so you want to stay disciplined. Even when you start feeling better, you want to still maintain your discipline. You don't just go out and just do anything and say, I'm healed now, I'm good now, I can get back to my regular life. Your regular life may be what made you sick in the first place. So you want to be careful there. If you need a kosher, guys, you need any other Ifa-based remedies, offerings, or anything, check us out, Asanee44.com. We have so much there to offer. If you have any questions about our offerings, feel free to DM me on IG. Quick announcement, I am transitioning to a every other week live stream schedule. You guys are keeping us really, really busy. We appreciate you. We thank you. But I am having a whole lot more work on my end because you guys are getting a lot of readings and work and things like that, Akose even so, and other things done. And so I want to make sure I commit more time to being able to work with people who are getting those things done. So I'm doing every other week live stream on this channel. I have my other channel, Asanee 44 Tarot, and I'll also be going every other week on that channel, but those are videos, those are not live. So pre-recorded videos, I mean. But so you still get a touch point with me every week if you are subscribed to both channels. Next week, I didn't mean next week. I should have changed it. So actually it's next live, which will not be next week. It will be the following week. I'm going to talk about what Eva says about premarital sex, single parenthood, marriage, those types of dynamics, because you guys have asked about that. So I really want to dig into that topic. If you don't have any more questions or anything left to say, I appreciate you as always, guys. Thank you for showing up. Ashe. Please have a very blessed and beautiful day and beyond.